Okay, so Jasmine Crockett has never really been one to kind of pull her punches. So she gets on the House floor and, well, kind of just lets it rip.
Thank you so much. This is a distraction to take away from the fact that the Guardians of Pedophiles is literally trying to protect pedophiles. The president is a convicted felon and an accused sex offender. Stacey Plaskett hasn't been accused of either. So what are we actually here talking about? Trump and Epstein were besties. We've all seen the pictures of them. We saw the birthday book. So why are y'all more interested in talking about Stacey Plaskett than Trump's relationship with the man? When did y'all become so moral? Because I can remember when y'all wouldn't sign the discharge petition. All of a sudden, everybody wanted to vote for this, but you wouldn't sign the discharge petition. Until we decide that we are going to go after the actual rapists and pedophiles, miss me with your moral high ground. Folks who also took money from somebody named Jeffrey Epstein, as I had my team dig in very quickly. Mitt Romney, the NRCC, Lee Zeldin, George Bush, Win Red, McCain Palin, Rick Lazio. I just want to be clear. If this is the standard that we're going to make, just know we're going to expose it all. And just know that the FEC filings, they are available for everybody to review. This is absolutely ridiculous. You decide that you want to punish a sitting member of Congress because you are concerned about her text messages. Well, maybe you should be more concerned about those sex tapes that we still haven't gotten access to. Maybe you should be more concerned with the fact that the president, his name is mentioned in the files way more than Stacey Plaskett's name. Listen, I'm not saying that anything is right or wrong, but listen, if you're trying to figure out what's going on with somebody that's a criminal, then you maybe need to talk to their associates. That's exactly why maybe she was getting text messages. I'm not saying she was or wasn't. But considering the fact that they were talking to another associate of the president's and maybe she needed intel, you'd have to go talk to somebody that maybe knows what he's up to.
Time has expired.
Okay, so she doesn't really stop there. She takes her seat, and then we get into discussing some of the ramifications of the SNAP program during the government shutdown on how decisions were being made or lack thereof. I'm telling you, perception is a hell of a thing. When you decide to provide money to a foreign nation while you have people that are in your country that are also on the program, it's not just Democrats that are on SNAP. There are a lot of Republicans on SNAP as well. So this being a bipartisan issue, you would think that feeding your own people before you decide to give $40 billion to Argentina would be a priority. She goes into discussing this. Now, granted, during her speech, she starts talking about Epstein, but before that, she actually starts discussing the subject of immigration. From what it is that I see, one of the votes that Trump seems to not be doing so well with anymore is actually the Latin community. When they made the promise that they would be going after the bad guys, understand something. The bad guys, there's only so many. So during the campaign, when he makes promises that we're going to have the greatest mass deportation of all time, writing was basically on the wall of what it is was coming and what can be expected. There are only so many bad guys. Eventually, he would have to start touching into the communities that, for the most part, aren't doing anything. And of course, because no one has the word legal versus illegal written on their back or on their head, the only way that you could really come to a conclusion as to who's legal and who's illegal is to just stop whoever it is that you see that doesn't really look like the majority.
Thank you so much. I just love that we care so much more about dogs' lives than we do actual lives, but I'm going to continue on. I want to make sure that I enter this UC, which is one of the reasons that we are a bit skeptical of any immigration, quote unquote, enforcement laws that y'all are trying to pass. This UC is from The Guardian. It says, immigrants with no criminal record now largest group in ICE detention. You know, I listened to Mr. Van Drew.
Without objection.
Thank you so much. I listened to Mr. Van Drew, who I do respect. And he went on and on and on about how this is about the bad guys. And I will be honest with you and tell you that when it came down to the election, there were a lot of people who really believed that the Republicans and the president were all about getting the bad guys out. People truly believed your words, but your actions are not matching up, because I've got the receipts showing that they are not matching up. And so call us a little paranoid in believing that the hypocrisy may continue to come from across the aisle. Speaking of hypocrisy, I do want to point out, since we're talking about Jeffrey Epstein, because we couldn't talk about Epstein before. If y'all recall, we were gone for about 2 months because we couldn't talk about Jeffrey Epstein. And now everybody wants to act as if they want to have like a real honest conversation about the victims and the survivors and everybody else. Where was this conversation a long time ago? And I know that y'all love to go back and say that Joe Biden didn't do it. You know, Joe Biden is blamed for everything. Joe Biden didn't do anything and it was Joe Biden's fault, and why wasn't Joe Biden? Joe Biden didn't campaign on it. I just want to be clear. If y'all can run me the tape, then run me the tape. But you know, when you campaign and you go out and you make a promise, then we evaluate whether or not you actually meet your promises. So listen, this was rope that y'all decided to hang yourselves with because the president campaigned on the Epstein files while we were campaigning on things such as affordability. We were campaigning on the things that now people are complaining about, right? Because of the tariffs and the fact that you guys won't say anything and tell the president, hey, sir, tariffs are taxes. We as Republicans, we usually don't like taxes. And guess what? That's gonna make everything unaffordable. So now he's gonna be our big savior and he is gonna reduce the price of foods because he is the guy that actually increased the price of foods. So listen, if you can have this honest conversation about Epstein now, let's just go ahead with this lame duck president and be honest about everything that the American people care about. They care about affordability. They care about the fact that literally people are starving in this country because we have 42 million people, and I don't remember any one of you during that almost 2-month break deciding to go on faux news or any other news outlet and say, you know what, it is wrong to have 42 million people that are relying on $6 a day to eat, and we have the money because somehow our president was able to find under the couch cushion, the one that JD wasn't sitting on, under the couch cushion, he was able to find 40, how much did he find to send to Argentina? 40, there we go. 40 billion to send to Argentina. But those emergency funds, he couldn't find them emergency funds so that Americans could eat. So listen, if y'all are gonna be honest and talk about Epstein right now, let's be honest about everything that is causing y'all to lose real bad. Did y'all see the election results on November 4th? It didn't go very well. So let's just start having honest conversations so that hopefully some of y'all in some of these tight seats, maybe y'all can get reelected and we can just work together.
Jasmine gives an opening statement. And during her opening statement, I guess my only question really is, where's the lies? So how did the Epstein files go from being a Democrat hoax to every single member minus one voting for it to be released? I get the feeling that this whole thing is going to be redacted because it's kind of obvious what's going to happen at this point. If the release of the files does go forward and it has even a drop of anything incriminating, you know the mainstream media is going to be running with this for the rest of Trump's term. So they're going to redact every single line that they can. So here's what Jasmine has to say in regards to those subjects. Kristi Noem, Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell. She gets into all of them. Now, admittedly, the clip is a little bit lengthy, but I'll let the whole thing play out. Here you go.
Allowing constitutional rights to be dependent upon the grace of the executive branch would be a dereliction of duty by this third and independent branch of government and would be against the public interest. But in another case, the court summed it up perfectly by declaring, quote, as is becoming far too common, we are confronted again with the efforts of the executive branch to set aside the rule of law in pursuit of its own goals. Judiciary Committee Republicans have been completely complicit in this corruption. But since they're so interested in restoring law and order, I have a couple of suggestions on where they can start. Number one, this is the President of the United States standing beside his best friend, Jeffrey Epstein. As we all know, Mr. Epstein is one of the most notorious sexual predators in American history. For 8 weeks, the Republicans on this committee have chosen to protect these two men instead of providing justice to Mr. Epstein's victims. Now the administration is panicking. First, they campaigned on releasing the Epstein files. Then AG Bondi and Associates did a photo op with the files, and she said, and I quote, the Epstein list is on my desk. Then somehow the Epstein list didn't exist. Then the Epstein files became a Democratic hoax. Now the president is supposedly supportive of releasing the files, even though he's currently ignoring a congressional subpoena to do so. Now the president is simply crashing out. And it's because he can't seem to explain his special decades-long relationship with one of the most prominent sexual predators in American history. It's already public that he's in the Epstein files, but his administration is hiding the context of his involvement, if any, with Mr. Epstein's horrific crimes. Now, this is Miss Ghislaine Maxwell. Miss Maxwell, who obviously helped Jeffrey Epstein traffic more than 1,000 women and girls, well, Donald Trump is now giving her special treatment while she's serving out her prison sentence. He won't even rule out giving her a pardon or commuting her sentence. I don't need to explain why pardoning sex traffickers wouldn't be restoring law and order. Now, this is Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem. Not only has Secretary Noem been busy filming propaganda ads, she's also been busy cashing in on millions of taxpayer dollars. In fact, Secretary Noem has funneled millions of dollars to a company called the Strategy Group. The Strategy Group helped Secretary Noem win her campaign to become the governor of South Dakota. Corey Lewandowski, her top policy advisor, has worked with the firm. And the company's CEO is married to Secretary Noem's chief spokesperson, Mrs. Tricia McLaughlin. This is what corruption looks like. They're stealing money from the American people's pockets and depositing it into their bank accounts. Now we move on to yet somebody else. This is the so-called border czar, Tom Homan. Mr. Homan is on tape accepting $50,000 in cash bribes stuffed in a brown paper bag from an undercover FBI agent. Apparently, Mr. Homan accepted these bribes in exchange for awarding federal contracts to his friends. Trump's Department of Justice killed the investigation into Mr. Homan's crimes, and congressional Republicans didn't say a mumbling word. Lastly, this is insurrectionist and Nazi sympathizer Ed Martin. It appears that Mr. Martin is functioning as the Associate Deputy Attorney General, Pardon Attorney, Director of the Fake Weaponization Working Group, and Special Attorney for Mortgage Fraud. All that means is that Mr. Martin is Trump's lapdog, whom the president sends to initiate lawsuits against the president's perceived political opponents. This is what we call organized crime. They're breaking the law, often by stealing taxpayer dollars, covering up their crimes by ending and obstructing investigations, then prosecuting people who call out their unlawful behavior. And while the Republicans are encouraging this corruption, they're abandoning actual victims of violent crime and ignoring the Republican-led state's 21st century murder crisis. In September's appropriation markup, congressional Republicans proposed reducing the FBI staff by thousands of positions and underfunding the agency by more than $1 billion. They've proposed slashing resources from the ATF. They've proposed cutting grants for juvenile justice programs and hate crimes and eliminating the community violence intervention and prevention grants. They're literally defunding the police. So no matter what they say at today's hearing, congressional Republicans have proven that they are not investing in keeping American communities safe from violent crime. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
It's kind of funny how the Tom Homan question, him supposedly taking a bribe, that kind of just faded into the dark. And the moment that Donald Trump ever released a meme coin, you should have known that something was wrong right then and there. If you're having a hard time trying to figure out if you're getting played or not by the current administration while they try to make themselves richer and richer and richer while you're still there struggling to increase your wage or even try to get a job, I'm 100% on board by saying that if there are corrupt Democrats out there, the ones that do insider trading, the ones that might be on the Epstein list, the ones that might have trafficked kids, anything along those lines, by all means, arrest them. Throw the book at them. But how has this current administration actually benefited you and your family? When it comes down to healthcare, they want to give you $2,000, like that is going to actually pay for a surgery. When it comes down to jobs, are the tariffs supposed to bring manufacturing back, or is it a negotiating ploy? When it comes to groceries, have the prices gone up or down? When it comes to your cost of living, has that gone up or down? And I'm talking this year to last year. And currently, they control everything, even down to the Supreme Court. You control the executive, the legislative, the judicial. And so let me ask you, with all of these corrupt Democrats out there, with all of these that deserve to be arrested, because we all saw what it is that the president put out there. He said that this is treasonous. These actions that these Democrats are doing are treasonous. Talking specifically about the ad that was put out there in regards to the military. But there are other claims that he's made, whether it be about Jan 6, whether it be about COVID, Benghazi. So let me ask, what's the arrest record? If they are all really corrupt, if Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, if they're all really that corrupt, why haven't you made a single arrest yet? Or is this just more red meat for the base to get them away from the fact that you haven't actually lived up to your promises, like, increasing wages and bringing down the cost of living? Whatever your thoughts are, leave them in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like, and I will see you again on the next one. Be easy, y'all.